Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of my podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be touching on something that I've been getting lots of questions on, and that is what to do if you are in a creative rut. Okay, so I've been not only thinking about this a lot myself, but I've been hearing a lot of people saying that they are feeling a little burned out. I think we're in that season where we started the new year. We're so excited to work with all these new clients and really put ourselves out there. Then we get all those projects, and maybe you are either working on a lot of projects and you're like, okay, I need a break. Or maybe you are working on projects and you're like, I creatively cannot come up with ideas right now. If that's you, either of you, you're not alone. I've definitely been there. I feel like I'm in a position right now where I feel so lucky to have a lot of inquiries and clients and stuff, but I'm having to remind myself that although these projects are so fun and I love to work with them, that it's okay sometimes to either delay it or turn them down or turn them to another designer, because at the end of the day, we have to take care of ourselves. And if you aren't feeling creative, or maybe you're feeling burned out, listen to those feelings and take a step back and try to plan for those seasons where you are a little bit slower, because they're needed and they're really helpful when you have them, because you can kind of take a breath, you can go places to get inspiration for creativity and things like that. But I really wanted to talk to you guys today about what to do if you are in a creative rut right now. You have clients and projects and you need to get your work done, but you're feeling stagnant with your creative ideas. So I have different steps I'm going to share with you guys today that help me whenever I'm feeling a little stuck, that I think will also hopefully help you guys. So first thing that I recommend doing is to create. I'm going to be specifically talking about like branding and stuff, because I feel like that's when you have to use your creative brain the most. Also, I'm sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. I need to learn how to like actually hold it in one place. But let's talk about branding. I'm going to be talking about that for most of these tips. So number one, the first thing I recommend doing is to create themes for your logos. I started doing this year, and it's helped me so much, because when I start a logo design, I typically will jump into the direction, the strategy, the mood board, and things like that. And that typically alone helps me when it comes to the logo phase, because I already did the strategy. I already know the direction I'm taking it. So I feel like that helps me already. But there have been times where I start the logo and I'm like really just spending so much time searching for inspiration, and I haven't even gotten like progress on the logo. So whenever I'm in that situation, I typically will create themes. This helps me a lot because I like to provide my clients 3 concepts. I don't do the one logo concept method. It doesn't work for me. I know it works for a lot of people. Maybe it'll work for me one day. I'm never going to say never, but I like to provide my clients 3. So what I do is I create 3 different themes around those 3 concepts. Of course, the direction and the strategy and all that, all of these concepts are going to have the same goal and the same sort of like, I guess, vibe to it, but they all have like a unique element, or maybe they just have a unique typography. But what I like to do is create those themes. So I'll create a theme that's maybe a little bit more minimal and simple. Then I'll create a theme that's maybe a little bit more focused on like manipulating typography. And then I'll create another theme that's maybe more focused on the illustrations and the elements and making that like the focus point of the logo. So I feel like when I have those different themes to kind of focus on, it helps me so much to know like which theme that I'm actually working on, because there's been times where I'm like working and I feel like I'm creating the same kind of thing over and over. But when I separate it like that in my brain, it just helps me a ton to know like which kind of theme direction I'm going with on this one. So I wanted to share that because that's something I kind of recently started doing, but it's been so helpful for like not getting stuck on the logo design, because I know which direction I'm taking each one of those. But I can't stress this enough. I feel like having your strategy, having your direction down in your mood board, showing the clients the typography, showing them the kind of illustrations you're going to be using before even getting to the logo phase helps me a ton. And just having that information before that is super helpful for the logo phase to go smooth. Okay, my second tip is to draw before you create. And I know everyone works different. Everyone has a different process. So if you feel like what you're doing right now is working, please do not change it. Just stick with it and keep going. But this is specifically for people who are feeling a little bit stuck and they don't know like how to come up with new creative ideas. So typically I recommend drawing before you go and design, because when I create those illustrations and I show them in phase 1 of branding, I actually am able to jump into the logo knowing exactly what the elements and the submark and everything's going to look like. So I always recommend, even if you're not going to be doing like illustrations for them or something, always just sketch out your logo. Even if you're not like an illustrator and maybe your drawings are not very good, that's okay. Mine are not that great either. But I like to just grab my sketch pad, write out the brand name at the top of the notepad, and just like draw out all my ideas, figure out different ways to like use the main letter of the logo, figure out different ways to add some fun shapes in there. And just drawing before I even open my Illustrator helps me so much, because I'm able to reference that as I'm designing. So I have like 3 areas of inspiration as I'm designing. I'll have my mood board, I'll have those illustrations, and then I also have like the Pinterest board that I've created. And when I have all those open and I just have something to reference as I'm like creating, it just goes way more smooth, and it's super helpful so I don't get stuck searching in the middle of my design day. Because if you're stuck searching for inspiration when you're supposed to be designing, it's never going to be good. Like, it's never going to end. Like, that search can happen for hours and hours and hours, and then you're going to be like, well, I don't even know where to start now. So always sketch and draw before you create. Okay, my next tip is to step out of your cave. I like to call my little office my cave sometimes, especially when I'm like deep into design work. It's like I'm in this little cave all day. But if I could recommend anything, it would be to step away. This is why I like to allow myself some time to design. I've been experimenting with doing branding in a week projects for clients and providing like really quick turnarounds, but I've quickly realized that branding takes time. There's days where I'm better at designing, and there's days where I just cannot do it. And I'm sure that you guys can relate to me on that, because I've noticed a lot of creatives have those design days. But if you're feeling stuck, go step outside, go to a coffee shop, go to a bookstore, go somewhere that like makes you happy. And just stepping away from like your Illustrator artboard or wherever you design is so helpful for like sparking some new inspiration. And then you might come back to your computer and think of some other way to rearrange it, or other typography to add in, or something like that. So I say this one because as I was thinking about it, when I was getting asked the question, like, how do I get out of a creative rut? I feel like I'm not designing anything good and stuff like that. And when I think about the logos that I'm the most proud of and that I love the most, typically those happen after I travel or after I like have a weekend. Like sometimes Mondays and Tuesdays I'm able to design really good because I took some time away from my computer. I just actually went out into the world and subconsciously was kind of getting inspiration. So if I could recommend anything, it is to step away, step outside. If you can travel, do that, because I swear that's like the best way to find inspiration. I remember when we went to Portugal last year, I think it was, I came back with so many ideas because I saw all these really unique stores and little small businesses that use such cool branding. And I know not everyone has the opportunity or ability to do that and travel whenever you want, but if you do have that opportunity, 100% do it, because that helps so much with inspiration. But I also feel like even if you're not traveling like somewhere to Europe or somewhere far, even just like going, like I said, to restaurants or coffee shops, or driving, doing a little road trip somewhere, or even just like visiting family or stepping away, I'm telling you, will really, really help your inspiration. It'll help you get super excited to get back to your artboard and your computer and just create. Okay, my last tip for if you're in a creative rut is to pay attention to passion projects. I have realized this. I didn't even know there was like a word for it, but having passion projects that like relate to art, or even just whatever it is you want to do. But I do feel like having passion projects within the design world can be very helpful for inspiration and also for discovering what skills and what services and stuff that you actually really enjoy doing. I never really realized that I was doing this, but I would take my iPad and just willingly want to just draw and like practice drawing like Leo or cat or like a plant or something like that, just like fun little icons and stuff, honestly just for fun, like when we're watching a movie or TV or something. And I didn't realize it at the time, but doing that was actually helping me feel excited and inspired to design. So if you can and make the time for it, I would suggest having some passions within design, because if I was literally just doing client project after client project and never having like my own exciting thing to work on, I would probably not love it as much, if I'm being very honest. Like, I love a lot of my client projects and they're amazing and super fun to work on, but I get the most like lit up and excited when it's something that it's like my vision that I'm making come to life. So if you can, I would definitely recommend finding some passions within design that are completely unrelated to services and that also just make you happy. Like, and you can practice your skills, and like I said, maybe just grab your iPad or your notepad and draw and sketch, or you can even just play around on Illustrator. Whatever it is that makes you super excited and happy, like definitely hone in on those passion projects. And I've noticed too, like as I do those passion projects, I come up with like new little like service ideas or like new product ideas and stuff like that. So it really like gets my brain creatively thinking about other ways to use design. So definitely try and have some passions in this industry, and you don't have to always make it all about making money from something or providing a service. It can just be for you, and I truly think that's so important. Okay, I hope that those tips kind of help you if you're feeling stuck or maybe you're in a creative rut. I understand. I've been there. I think we've all been there as creatives. Like, I do feel though that if you are not aligned with the client or you're not aligned with the project, that being creative is going to be more difficult. So I feel like I've had to strategically know how to like talk to the client and know which kind of clients that I actually want to say yes to, and maybe know the clients that we won't be a good fit. So I've had to be better about like kind of seeing those signs early on, because I want to make sure that we both click and that it's going to be a really good partnership and it's going to spark creativity for me. So I always pay attention to that in the beginning stages. And if I could summarize what I just shared with you all, it's strategically picking the clients you want to work with, always drawing before I create, and always planning the strategy and the direction before I design, because I could spend hours looking for inspiration. So I like to make that its own phase so I can jump into the design without spending hours and hours getting sucked into consuming all these other designers' works. Like, I have to like stay in my zone on those design days and just pull those directions and strategies that I've already worked on. And then also having some passion within design, not losing sight of that, is really important. And then also just stepping outside, traveling whenever you can, and just knowing that it doesn't always have to be all about that project. You can step outside and it'll probably help you a lot. Go to the grocery store, somewhere. Just go somewhere besides your office and it'll probably help you come up with some ideas. So those are all my tips for how to get out of a creative rut. I really hope that's helpful. Let me know what you guys do when you are stuck or you're feeling like not creative. Let me know your strategies behind that. Comment them down below or answer the question on Spotify. I have a poll going. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this podcast or listening to this podcast if you're not watching. If you enjoyed it, I would appreciate it so much if you gave it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube, or follow my podcast on Spotify if you want to hear more. But thank you guys so much for always being here, and I will talk to you soon.